Kinguin Pro League 2015. Now, we're just done casting Amaz versus Orange. Orange lost to Amaz 3-1, and we're about to move on to one of the biggest matches of the day, which is Kolento versus Lifecoach. And I'd almost venture to say one of the biggest matches of the week, in fact. That's these two players, very, very strong players. Kolento overall in his, like, the entire, I guess, Hearthstone competitive scenes, lifetime, has done an amazing job of staying at the top, and Lifecoach is recently on the hottest streak. It got broken, mind you. I think he got one loss recently, but he's like at 82% win rate so far, and it's crazy since the release of GVG, I think.
Yeah, he's been doing fantastic for himself. He picked up his first major win, of course, at the Kinguin for Charity Spring event, which he met Lothar in the finals, and able to pick off a win versus his team manager. I think that that one might feel a little bit good. Like, oh, you're the manager, huh?
Yeah, who's the manager now?
And then Kolento, of course. I mean, this is just a giant resume of tournaments under his belt. He's won the Kinguin for Charity Winter. He's won the first Via Game House Cup, and he won DreamHack Winter. He has a top 8 at Worlds, and then a top 8 at Seat Story Cup, and then he also got second place in the Millennium House Cup 4, and then just I want to say it's like 3 more minor event wins that he has after. Yeah,
Prismata and some VGVN. Anyway, he's got like incredible roster of wins. It's just one of the strongest players. Lifecoach also recently winning the Root Cats Invitational, I believe, Root Gaming, if anything. So we're gonna be moving on to their matches very, very soon. Kolento's lineups are Druid, Mage, and Priest, and Lifecoach has Druid, Mage, and Warlock. So the only difference between their lineups is one class. Lifecoach bringing probably something of a comfort pick with a possible handlock, I would venture to say, and Kolento bringing Priest, with which I guess he's had more than enough success on ladder to justify bringing to a Conquest format tournament.
Well, he's actually played a lot of Priest in the past too. We talk a lot about how Amaz is known for being a very, very avid Priest player, but Kolento's been kind of up there with him. He's brought it to a lot of tournaments. I mean, when he won DreamHack Winter, he had Priest in his lineup, and that was one of his best performing classes that he had.
Right.
And I think it's something that's just like a very comfortable pick for him. Like, he never minds playing it because he feels like he's going to make the right decisions at every step of the way. And when you have someone playing that way, they're gonna go to comfort picks. That's how comfort picks work, is you're comfortable on them. In case you couldn't figure that out.
No.
The term I was using. So I don't think it's that powerful. I really don't. But something that you did see in the last game was Shadow Menace and Recombobulator on a Sludge Belcher, which is a really big deal. Yeah. And against someone like Lifecoach specifically, I don't really think he's going to be playing decks that apply a ton of pressure in the early game. Maybe he'll have Mech Mage. He definitely has played that quite a bit before, but he's going to tend to go for control matchups, and I think because of that, Kolento might be able to tailor a Priest build to combat that style.
Yeah, and I mean, Kolento's going to start up with his Priest. In fact, he's so comfortable with it, he's going to start with it, and Lifecoach is going to go for his Druid, maybe thinking that Kolento's going to start with Priest, and if Lifecoach takes that Priest game away, that's, one less deck that he's going to have on his side. So, I mean, it's a pretty favored matchup for Druid in general, at least it used to be. I don't know if that is still the case post-GVG, but I wouldn't think anything has changed in that regard.
I definitely think that's the matchup he wants to face.
Yep.
With Druid right away. I think he'd rather not play a mirror, because he's spoken before about his distaste for mirror matches. Mm-hmm. And the Mage can be really scary. Like, there's so many Mage builds out there right now that can pressure Druid that I think it's something else you want to try to avoid. I mean, just anywhere from like Mirror Entity to like water elemental builds that have like Flame Cannon and like the Tempo Mage deck and stuff like a Stable Portal. It's just really stuff you want to try to avoid. Game 1 is about to get underway with Kolento versus Lifecoach, and you said it earlier, and I gotta agree with you, man. This is the biggest match of this week, is just by far.
Yeah, it's got to be. So we're going to be looking at a probably very standard Priest type of list, although there are a lot of there are a few adjustments to the deck list that can be made to tailor it to heavy control or more towards aggro. So
I mean, I want to ask you a question. Is there ever a standard Priest build?
No, that's the problem with it.
That's what I say. The deck is like, it feels like it's almost extinct in competitive play to me. Yeah. But we're seeing it quite a bit. It's like, I don't know, man. It feels like Priest is. I never have any idea where this deck's gonna stand, and I don't really know the game plans with it. I just don't play Priest, and it's just not played that much in competitive play. And I watch a ton of Hearthstone. I may watch more Hearthstone than probably anyone out there, because I do it just for hours on end to make sure that I'm keeping up with these deck lists and where these players are competing. But where does he go from here? Like, we see Circle of Healing, which is a pretty big indicator that I think that he's got something like Injured Blade Master, something that I have seen a little bit lately is Gelbin Stalker, and is it Gelbin or Geblin? I can never remember the name of that card.
The 2/3 for 2.
Yeah, the stealth guy.
Oh yeah, with Valence Chosen, right?
Yeah, that's really the only unique thing I've seen come out of Priest in quite a while.
Well,
they are pretty standard, but like really, it's a lot of flex cards. Like, do you want 2 Shadow Menace? Do you want 1 Shadow Menace? Do I want 2 Recombobulators? Do I want Shrinkmeister? It's not really that many builds that are approaching the game very differently.
Yeah, it's really just they tend to have a similar play style a lot of the time. It's just that a few cards will make the difference. It's like, you know, when you're facing Control Warrior as Control Priest, or well, should I say as Priest, since there's really not much else left than Control since Undertaker's been out. It's pretty much always going to come down to the card that you're playing. It's always going to be the last threat that gets put down will win the game. So what ends up happening when you're building Priest is you have to let the metagame settle, and once it's settled, then you build the Priest deck. You never just make a Priest deck and throw it at the metagame, because it's not going to be adapted. It's a very, very reactive class. As a result, you have to let people do their thing, and then once they have done what they wanted to, then you come in with a Priest deck that counters that specific meta.
Yeah, it's sort of the nature of the hero power. It's not really making any progress unless you're able to react to stuff. And you're seeing that with a lot of classes too. Like Hunter, for instance, obviously their hero power is really leaning towards aggression. So you're probably going to see more aggressive Hunter decks than anything else. So if you want to beat people up, Hunter's a great class, but Priest probably isn't. You have to be able to respond.
Yeah. And what's funny is Hunters were supposed to be designed as control decks, right? They were meant to be played as control, where you play Hunter, and because you have so many cards with control, with multi-shot, and explosive shot, and arcane shot, you needed a way to kill your opponent, so they gave them their hero power. So what Hunters did instead is they said, well, thanks for that, I'm just going to go build aggro instead of control. It was a really weird design decision by Blizzard, but it ended up kind of backfiring. It pigeonholes Hunters nowadays into a much more aggressive playstyle.
This is a really interesting spot here for Kolento. I think that the decision to, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but I think one of the decisions to not actually run his Wild Pyromancer in here is that he has Sylvanas in his hand. So when he sees something like Keeper of the Grove here, he's just really not that upset with it. If he can at all stabilize his board position, he's going to be primed to be able to take this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy for him to just, if he wants, he can Shadow Word Death. If he just wants to wait it out, he can. Well, but you don't want to be taking 7 damage here. Like,
he can now Shadow Word Death if he wants. That was a pretty important draw to be able to stabilize his board position.
Yep.
And that's an understatement, I think.
Yeah, taking 7 damage a turn until you can play a 6-drop. I mean, you're going to be dead by the time you get anything done.
His turn otherwise would have been Circle of Healing to clear 2 minions, or just, and like Lifecoach would have left his 5/5 around him, assuming he would have used a hero power or Wrath to take out the Alkanite Soul Priest. He's actually going to Wrath his own Keeper of the Grove to pick up a card. I can't really blame him. I mean, his hand isn't really anything otherwise. He doesn't have a play till turn 7, but the hand he had, so wrathing his own minion to pick up a card is going to help him draw into things like Piloted Sky Golem. And this is something that's very unique, I think, to these two guys, is when they play their builds, they kind of play their own builds. And they do it very often. And actually, this own Wrath actually might come back to haunt him too, because Light of the Nara is going to kill this guy now.
How do you... I mean, you kind of have to throw your Sky Golem on this board like you've never done it before, but I mean, at least you know the Light Warden's not going to get buffed up in this position. There's at least that you've got going for you. It's going to be a 1/2 and stuck there until the Alkanite's gone. Oh, Shrinkmeister, does that change anything? It does allow you to trade with the... I mean, you could always kill everything with the Light of the Naru here if you're Kolento.
I think that's what he's gonna end up doing.
Yeah, I don't dislike that. It's actually pretty easy because you're very mana efficient. You Light of the Naru, you ping with your hero power, you get yourself an extra minion.
Sylvanas just doesn't feel that great right now.
Yeah,
if
it
you
would
play
be good on
Sylvanas,
paper, but yeah.
I mean, it's just Lifecoach is going to be able to make up so much ground. I mean, Sylvanas definitely does kind of keep him from playing whatever he wants, but I don't know. You know, the more I think about it, I think Sylvanas is just fine here. You do lose some ground by playing Sylvanas, but I think it's okay. I think Light of the Naru is still better.
Yeah, it's a great play, and you know, he opts to trade it away, and oh wow, is that a frustrating card to find.
Yeah, so you're going to see Shrinkmeister now. This is exactly... So it does change things a little bit. It keeps an extra minion on the board.
Let's get physical.
But still not the worst turn for Lifecoach. He's going to be able to use Force Nature to clear out all 3 of these if he wants to. I'm going to guess that he doesn't want to run Ancient Allure into this and let a 3/2 kill his Ancient Allure.
Yeah,
two
drop.
Force Natures and just really not going to be doing much. The only issue of comfort, I think, with this play is that you're yielding initiative to your opponent. So if Kolento has something like Dr. Boom,
Oh.
You're going to be really uncomfortable
So,
afterwards.
what if you just force the nature of the face? And then because he can't heal, you eventually win.
You just hope that he doesn't kill you before you draw a
Yeah,
Savage.
exactly. You just pray to the RNG gods.
I don't think that's what Lifecoach is gonna do.
MLG.
It's
It's definitely an MLG
you know what?
play.
I'm convinced. Jam out Force Nature, 3 tokens in the face. Let's go. It's not that bad of a play. Like,
if you can talk yourself into it long enough, eventually it'll look good.
No prep South Sea deckhand. Oil for no reason. It's not that one, which was pretty bad, but it wasn't quite as bad as his reaction made it out to be. It definitely was bad. I'm not gonna question that, but it wasn't as bad as his body language was conveying. That was the point I was trying to make earlier with that.
So,
but yeah, no surprise to see the Force Nature here, really. And
yeah,
then just,
Sylvanas is gonna. I think it's a pretty easy Sylvanas turn.
yep.
You know, if Keeper of the Grove does get played, that would be the second one. You can just Cabal that. You'd be happy to get it. Oh, that's Sky Golem, however.
That's Sky Golem.
Whoa, that's a good card here for him, actually, because...
he actually...
Go ahead.
Well, I was like... Just continue, because I was losing my train of
The
thought.
Death Rattle of the Pilot of Sky Golem here triggers after Sylvanas, so effectively putting this down really handles the Sylvanas perfectly. And if a Sludge Belcher's played, you get a free, you get a free trade. So in effect, I think this Pilot of Sky Golem is right on time. It's just perfect. Unless you expect a Shadow Word Death on your opponent's own Sylvanas, but he would keep that for Dr. Boom. I can't imagine he'd ever do this now. Oh, wow, he's going to Ancient of Lore here. Trade the 1-for-1, trying to maximize the value he's going to get out of that Pilot Sky Golem.
Wow, he even picks up a second keeper, too. Kolento is almost never trading the Sylvanas here.
I mean, it would feel horrible, too. Then again, you're dead to combo next turn if you don't.
Oh my gosh.
Aren't you? 5-7? Oh, you'd be almost
21.
Yeah, it's 21. It's not quite there.
I don't really feel like there's that many ways that Kolento can avoid combo from happening this game.
Yeah,
so
right.
I would imagine he's going to hunt for value somewhere. But where does he get it with this hand? He has no way to draw cards. He has no minions that have Battle Cry. He has no minions or relevant Battle Cries right now. He has nothing with Death Rattle. He doesn't have any taunts. There's no buffs in his hand. This is just like a miserable pan out for Kolento. Like, he got the Sylvanas on board, but his draw on the turn going into Sylvanas and his draw afterwards are just exceptionally poor.
What if you just injured Circle and go face with Sylv? I mean, it's pretty horrible, but that's kind of what it's looking like for me, because you can't just heal it with your hero power, right?
I don't even know if you circle it. I don't think you circle it, because if your opponent attacks your injured Blade Master with their Ancient of Lore, it means they're probably not playing anything that turn as well, unless
right, because otherwise Sylvanas is gonna.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that Keeper of the Grove swipe combination. Actually, there's almost a play.
I mean, he could very well. He could very well. Oh, he doesn't have Savage War. I was almost convinced he had Savage War because we were talking about earlier. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just like, wow, that'd be great to be able to deal 21 damage, but not available here. So
Keeper Wrath seems pretty okay. It's a little on the slow side, and you're playing into Cabal Shadow Priest, so maybe you're better off playing a bigger minion at this point.
Yeah, I think it's between Dr. Boom and Pilot Sky Gold for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm curious which one it's going to be. I still think I actually might have preferred the Piloted Sky Golem last turn because of the board presence, but Lifecoach certainly is keeping in mind the card advantage battle in this matchup, and I don't think it's as much of a battle for tempo because you're playing against Priest. Unless you can just kind of steamroll them out of the game, you usually are fighting a card advantage battle of some sort. And when he's got 2 Piloted Sky Golems in his deck, I think it's a lot easier for him also.
Yeah, one of the important cards for Priest to really, keep themselves into a game against mid-range decks is to find the Arcanine, not the Arcanine, but the Clerics, and really get a good turn with them. At least one good turn with a Cleric is really important for them.
These are not very good turns.
He picks up a Powered Shield. I mean, you could Cabal Shadow Priest to bomb and then get the
He's one mana off the sweet combo of both of
that's
them.
a horrible card for this matchup.
Yeah, this is doesn't do anything.
As bad as it gets.
Versus Druid. Lifecoach, when I just look at Lifecoach, like I see his face and his haircut, he just doesn't look like a Blingtron player. Now, if you saw his watch, you might think otherwise.
What does it look like?
Oh, he's got a beautiful Rolex. I mean, it is.
So
just
you're
it's
actually dead to
absolutely
combo here, right? He's actually dead if that comes out.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a way to prevent that.
Yeah, he can't play around it because he can't beat it. That's rule number 1 of Hearthstone. But this is a really excruciating position for the Priest. I mean, you have to fight for the board for the rest of the game at this point.
Well, it's gonna be tough to do versus all these piloted mechanisms.
Skylogan, do you just play Golem Shredder, or do you play for board control again at this point?
It looks like a mech druid at this point almost. I know it's not a mech druid, but it's got a lot of mechs. It's like it's droid.
It's kind of like the you know, people play Spectral Knights, but some people just like Sky Golems instead. They do work just as well, if not better in many cases, so it's a little more expensive and it bumps up your curve, but against Warrior, you get almost 100% win rate. I'm exaggerating slightly, obviously, but those minions with really sticky bodies make it really tough on control decks.
No, 100% win rates are easily attainable.
Oh yeah, they are.
When you're playing best of ones and only counting that one match.
Yeah, I mean, I made a deck, it's called Lizard Squad, and I have 100% win rate so far. I have never lost with it.
Can you give me that list afterwards?
Yeah, no problem.
I'll keep it secret.
Sure you will.
I promise. 100% win rate. Can you imagine someone having 100% win rate in this game?
Lifecoach had it up until recently. Yeah. Well, it's gonna be a really long turn here for Lifecoach. So he's gonna go for the double mechs, which I can't really blame him. That seems to be the optimal line of play. Now let the Priest handle this situation.
Yeah, I don't really see him handling it. Just he has 3 cards in his hand that actually don't do anything in this board position.
Wild Pyro and with Shadow Madness could help a little bit, but he's got to find something relevant out of that Shredder.
It's not even guaranteed that he'll be able to Shadow Madness whatever comes out of the Shredder.
Right. It could be a Succubus. Or a Shield Bearer. No, that's right. It's a 1-drop. Never mind. What could he get? An Oiltron, I guess. You wouldn't even be able to sacrifice it. He's going to be trying for that Shredder, and out comes the Puddle Jumper. I don't know if that's going to do much. But you've got to try. And
I think as long as he doesn't face the Mighty Millhouse Mana Storm, he might have been okay with it.
So what is your line of play? So he's going to hope that Boombot does something relevant here.
I'm really, really confused why he didn't.
And Dr. Boom takes enough damage for the Cabal Shadow Priest to trade into it.
Why on earth did he not? Oh my gosh, and he got Enhancer Volcano!
This is as bad as it's gonna get for a 4-drop. Almost. Wow. Kolento is alive. Actually, wait, is he? Force of Nature Swipe. That's 10.
Kolento's alive right now, yeah. This is unbelievable.
Well, he's on 1 health, actually. Yeah, actually, wait. The Drake Swipe is going to make short work of this board. I mean, could Lifecoach really
Not
lose?
necessarily. I mean, can he lose? Probably not. But Kolento's not dead. And that was really the important part. Is I thought he was just dead.
Well, if that Meccano had 1 more attack, that would be game. With Force of Nature Swipe. But not quite there yet. Oh man, this position.
It's tough stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Kolento's basically going through the motions. I don't think he thinks he can get away with anything.
I just realized why he didn't attack the Boombot into a minion last turn. It's so that he could ensure that he could Shadow Madness.
The Puddle Jumper, yeah.
Yep, that's
without
exactly
dying.
I was racking my brain trying to figure it out.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh, geez.
Yeah, this is.
I think that may have sealed this.
Yeah, you just swipe face and forget about it, right? Or is he gonna try to make the optimal play still? I think I'm the kind of player who just swipes face here and forgets about everything. Yeah, I really just swipe face because I don't see what my opponent could even do at this point.
I even swipe face when I can do it on turn 1 with a coin and innervate.
True. So he's gonna swipe the minion and go for the trade. Wow, Lifecoach is as careful as he's known to be.
You can never be too careful, right?
Yeah, in case he plays well, what? Actually, wait.
You can like Holy Fire or something.
Right. Well, if you swiped face, you'd still have lethal.
You could have Holy Fire.
Maybe he thought
could have
Seal's
double
here.
Antique Heal Bot.
I know what I know what he was playing around. You thought steal, innervate, entry of life. There you go. That puts you exactly
That
on
confirms that
net.
Lifecoach has Tree of Life in his deck, I think.
Yeah, I think this
I think
is a
it confirms it.
confirmation that he is playing Tree of Life. The innervates we knew, but the Tree of Life I wasn't too sure. Now that taking so much time on that play really confirms it. So
Yeah.
Lifecoach is going to take the first game against Kolento here. Not a big surprise. Druid versus Priest is a really difficult matchup for the Priest. That's going to lock out the Druid for Lifecoach. He's going to have to move on to Mage or Warlock.
Yeah, it's just one of those matchups where, unless you get a lot of early stuff going, and when I say a lot of early stuff, I mean a lot of early stuff. Like, Injured Blademaster and Circle of Healing is a really good start, but you really want to couple that with Northshire Cleric.
Yeah.
When they get those 3 cards very early, you sometimes see Priests take a commanding position on the game. Priest feels like one of those classes like where when you win with it, you absolutely crushed your opponent, and when you lose, you just got crushed. Is what it feels like to me. And this is just, I think, one of those games where Kolento just didn't have a lot of stuff going. You know, he managed to live that one turn, which I didn't think he could live through. Just kind of looking at it, and didn't
making
really
the
live
optimal
through
play
it.
till the end.
He didn't die though, and that's really the important part. But yeah, that's the kind of player these both these guys are. Is they're not just going to quit games; they're going to continue to work through puzzles as they play the game, and that helps them in future situations where they have to work through puzzles and figure out what the best situation is. And I think it's no mystery that we've seen both these players work this way, and that you also see them win so much.
Yeah, and the Lifecoach definitely operates that way. He'll make really very obvious turns. He will take his time, like that last turn that we saw, right, with the swipe to the face that I would have just done because the game's already won. But trying to make sure that if this situation arises again, the automatic response is not to swipe face. It's to take your time, analyze what's going to go through, and then those reflexes you're used to thinking through. So makes a bit of sense. So Lifecoach is going to be playing as Warlock next, and Kolento will be playing Druid. So if this is a handlock, a comfort pick for Lifecoach, Kolento needs to be playing a very fast Druid because Taunt Druid is generally not exactly favored against something like a handlock.
Yeah, I would tend to say so as well. That being said, it really depends on how Lifecoach is going to continue his build. We saw him play a very handlock-esque deck a while back where he didn't have giants in it. It was just sort of like a value warlock deck. I don't really know what you would call it. I guess you would call it weird lock.
Again, another one of those.
In that same vein, and see where you go from there. But if he's playing something like that, it wouldn't surprise me because, again, he's sort of introduced that into his arsenal. But to see him play handlock would be absolutely no surprise. Game 2 is going to get underway with Lifecoach versus Kolento, and it's a slight advantage to Lifecoach. I think I would venture to say this is the matchup that he wanted. At the ESL finals, Silent Storm had basically just farmed Druids with his Warlock deck.
Yeah,
and that seems to be like one of those things that happens when people are playing like mid-range style of Warlocks or even like super fast style of Warlocks. And Handlock used to just absolutely dominate Druid. But Druid's really changed a lot since then. And here's where you're going to see a really big situation happen. Is Kolento going to keep this? Did he mulligan already?
Yeah,
he's going to keep the big
BGH.
game hunter. That's the only card he keeps in his opening hand with Druid.
Yeah, I can't blame him because Lifecoach plays so much handlock. You've got to expect him to at least play that. Now, whether or not he'll play Giants this time around is another thing that we have to look at. We're just going to figure it out as soon as we see the hands develop.
One of these days, Lifecoach is going to play turn 1 Flame Imp, and his opponent's going to be like, oh my god, what just happened?
And then he's going to play turn 2 Doomslayer, and then his opponent's going to be like, wait, what? And then he's going to play turn 3 Little Exorcist, and then his opponent's going to be like, wait, what?
The next 2 plays are a little ambitious.
And then his third 4 is going to be Gnomish Inventor. His opponent's going to escape concede.
I play the Flame Imp to get me closer to Molten Giant. And then I play the Doomsayers so that way they can't apply too much pressure to me and to keep my hand size under control because I really intend to life tap a lot. And then the Little Exorcist just makes sure that they can't break through the board position.
Well, it's in case they play, Innervate Dr. Boom on turn 3. You want to make sure you have a Death Rattle answer to those Boom Bots.
Solid. So no Giants in hand, but it's still to say he's not playing them yet. But he does have 2 Twilight Drakes, and Kolento does have Keeper of the Grove.
Very important. He's going to be curving with it perfectly as well with that turn 6. I mean, that Wild Growth making it 6 mana. He doesn't even have to coin out with the hero power, which allows him to get that Dr. Boom earlier if he wants to.
So nothing unusual. Nothing unusual from Lifecoach so far. Actually, I'm really curious to see the rest of this list right now.
Well, so far it's looking very standard aside from the fact that we haven't seen a Giant, but the odds of, getting them at this point are just as good as getting double heal bot, so There's no guarantee the Giants are in there. Alright, so down goes the Drake. As Lifecoach probably expected, we see Zombie Chow, so there's something there about probably teching against some bit of aggro.
When he plays the Zombie Chow here, there's not like a real big reason for it. Obviously, you know, he wants to help start fighting the board as quickly as he can. You know, against something like Dr. Boom, he does have ways to attack it now. But when he plays it that quickly and doesn't think about it, it really signals to me that Mountain Giant is not in this deck.
Yep.
If he had Mountain Giant in this deck, I think he'd be considering his hand size a lot more.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he just holds on to it just to make sure that he can play it for very little.
That might be the
cheap.
fastest Lifecoach turn of all time.
Yeah, actually, it definitely is. He generally like ropes on these turns, especially. You know, this is a mid game. We're transitioning to the point where the decision tree just branches out, and he doesn't even take a second to make the play.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Boom.
Yeah, no mystery to see the Dr. Boom here. And
Yeah.
I like the attack with the Keep of the Grove as well. He does have Molten Giants.
Oh, okay. So you Dark Bomb your face to make sure you can play it early.
Just dome yourself.
Wait, so I do like there's a really good play here for Lifecoach. I mean that Siphon Soul on Boom, then you use one. You trade your 2/1 into that Keeper, and then you eat one of those Boom bots with your Drake, or you just go face and let him trade because you haven't seen a second Keeper, which would have probably come out.
The only thing I'm curious about is whether or not he wants to get rid of the Boom bots now, or if he'd rather get rid of the bigger body. And I think, yeah, it looks to me like he'd rather get rid of the bigger body.
Mm-hmm.
That one's
Yeah,
that's certainly the bigger body.
So just go face here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not really a huge. I mean, you do have to kill your opponent eventually, and I don't think these two Boombots are that big of a threat. And oh my gosh, Kolento draws Harrison Jones. It's the second time he's drawn Harrison Jones.
Well,
in two different decks now.
You face Jiraxis.
Well, something I'm curious about though is that like Lifecoach, he plays a lot of Paladin, but he doesn't play like almost any Warrior.
Yeah, you're right. I don't remember seeing him play much of it.
And his rogue play is sort of like split. You know, I've seen him practice rogue from time to time, but he's not really like a big rogue player, I feel like.
Well, there is a Mountain Giant
here. I'm like so confused now. I'm really surprised he took so little time to play the Zombie Chow that turn. Maybe he just had a soul read. He's like, he just stared Kolento down. He's like, he's gonna play Dr. Boom next turn.
Maybe he already knew the gameplay. Maybe he already thought through that specific play and figured, you know, next turn I'm probably going to be doing this if this happens. Because he already had the 2 cards in hand, so uses the Drake here to trade Mortal Coil to cycle the card, which effectively doesn't change the mana cost of the Mountain Giant. And Kolento is going to have to deal with that Giant and that Drake.
He's got a pretty good way for the Giant. A pretty darn good way. I'd say it's about the best play that you can have for the old Mountain Giant.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are good follow-ups as well. I mean, he's got a lot of really good minions on this board. On this hand, that is. He's got pretty much... If there's no Shadow Flame or Hellfire, this is a really strong board.
Yeah, well, Shadow Flame is obviously something he's very concerned with.
Yeah.
So he wants to make sure he doesn't overcommit, or when he commits, it's not too weak of a commitment. Because he does need to be pressing his advantage at some point. When is that?
And the Boom bot.
Wow, what a big one. This is the old 1 in 8.
I don't think they're very... I think when they manufacture Boom bots, they're not uniform, right? That might be the reason why those things always hit for such high variance. Now, there's a lethal looming for Kolento with the Claw Savage War if Lifecoach doesn't address this nor heals up. But I would be surprised if he didn't bother healing up. And this is kind of the problem with the Molten Giants in this matchup. If the Druid keeps you above a specific threshold for a long time and just gets a good board and you can't answer the good Shadow Flame, he just one-shots you and then there's nothing you can do.
That of course is a major concern, is, you know, taking 23 damage in one turn. But it's a little bit hidden right now. I think Lifecoach is probably going to go through that sequence. And he's certainly thinking about Force of Nature to go with it.
Yep. I mean, 9 mana, that's your automatic go-to worry, right?
What does he really do here, though? I mean, does he want to heal up?
You kind of do, but at the same time, what's your fault? You could play anti-heal bot and dark bomb that 4-2. It's really not that terrible. You almost have to, in fact.
He has to get the Molten Giants active at some point. And I feel like the nature in this matchup is that you would rather be low sooner rather than later, because the more time you give them, the more likely it is they have burst in their hand.
I'm not sure how much you can afford playing into combo here. Lifecoach has got to feel a little worried. He sees the rope come on, and he has to make a play, and he finds the Hellfire. He can Hellfire.
Well, he's got to do
bomb.
something quick. He's only got a few seconds left.
He plays a Sludge Belcher, doesn't bother with the Hellfire.
I am curious if that Hellfire came so late in his turn that he didn't have time to Hellfire and then maybe kill what came out of the Pilot Shredder. Because Hellfire Dark Bomb was a possibility for him, and so was Owl and Hellfire. He chose to take neither of those plays. And gosh, it's such a... I mean, this feels so bad for Lifecoach right now. Kolento just has all of the options in the world. He's got such a big board. He's going to kill this and draw cards. He's got so many cards in his hand.
Oh, he finds the Innervate, actually. Wait. Is this... It's not quite lethal.
No, he's still mana off of...
With Innervate.
No, he's still...
You're still a short mana off, yeah. So you
really
actually wait. You rat the Belcher. You Innervate Rid of the Claw, Savage Roar.
Would that do it?
And then use your face to kill the slime, and you have
4, 12, 18.
You have 18 damage. Yeah, if the Boombot hit for 2, you'd win essentially. But
oh my gosh, I think he's gonna go for it.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good play for him, and he's gonna take it.
Oh my gosh, this is a 75% chance to win this turn.
Yep, there is definitely a good chance that Kolento takes the game. And Lifecoach got to be worried, but the rope, the Sludge Belts are taking forever. Did this even work? Oh, the rope! He could not. Blizzard has to remove that rope. I've seen too much of that happen in competitive play. I'm gonna be the annoying opinion emitter here, but I have seen too much of this.
I'm stunned right now.
I have seen way too much of this. Well, I guess part of your new skill set is having over 200 APM for Hearthstone.
What a perfect time! What a perfect timing for that. Like, I'm just like, if you guys could see my face right now, I was just like it's like I saw a freaking ghost. I have. It's been a long time since I've seen the rope matter in that fashion. I'm absolutely stunned right now. I think that was actually one of the only ways that Lifecoach could win this game.
Yeah, as if the rope actually, messed up Kolento's line of play. But, the line of play that I highlighted was exactly what Kolento took, but it's not exactly obvious when you're in the player's shoes. It's a pretty obscure line of play, because you have to think about how much damage the Boombot could deal and what you're going to be innervating. So getting that Wrath card draw is what made that turn for him.
I'm still just absolutely shocked.
Well, Kolento's going to have to find some miracle or another. Force of Nature Savage Roar would be nice, but...
Hey, swipe pulling costs 3 mana.
Yay. You just throw everything there, I guess.
I mean, this is pretty close to a concede, I think. He can kill this thing. It's not the worst in the world, I guess.
You can play Harrison and the Shade, so unless the opponent has removal, one of 20,000 pieces, or healing, or taunts, you might win. Down goes Harrison Jones and the Zombie Chow. Yeah, that's not winnable. There's no way. Is there?
I don't know. I mean, you could just have like an earthquake or a tsunami where he lives or something, and just wipe out the internet. That's a way to win. This is why you have to be a master of the rope, like Lifecoach is.
Yeah, Rope Coach is. It's not his nickname for no reason. He has learned the threshold after which there is no way for you to win. So Kolento's gonna lose this to Lifecoach. I thought this would be for Fast Druid a winnable game, and I think Kolento objectively had a good chance of winning this if it wasn't for the fact that Sludge Belcher took 25 minutes to spawn a slime.
I do agree. The Sludge Belcher animation is a little bit slow in having a lot of experience against it. But this really does highlight the importance of making sure that you're decisive in your decisions. The Sludge Belcher, I agree. It does need a little bit of an animation change, but gosh, that is so brutal. I feel so bad for him right now.
Yeah, Sludge Belcher, I mean, he had the game defender, right?
He had the game almost 100% won.
Almost, yeah.
And oh gosh, it hurts.
He was this close, and now Lifecoach only has one deck left, and that's his mage deck, which I suspect is going to be Mech Mage. So Lifecoach doesn't have his priest anymore. I mean, Kolento doesn't have his priest anymore, so that leaves him with.
No,
he's got everything. Yeah, So he's got Druid, Mage, and Priest. I mean, you could play Priest against Mech Mage. I think that would give you a good matchup in general.
You're doing the same thing I am. Somewhere in that game, your head tick mark win. You're like, win on the wall for Kolento. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's head on next.
I don't know what happened there.
Upside down. But Kolento, I mean, he's got to put that one behind him. If there's, I talk a lot about people having to keep their mindset straight, but I'm sure that this is like almost never happened to Kolento before, probably ever. In a situation quite this
close, right? I've seen him rope, but never on a lethal like this. This is like way too close.
Or just in such a devastating position, to be able to put your opponent in. So he has to stop thinking about that, and he has to move on to this next match and focus, because it's not the toughest thing in the world to pick up 3 wins in a row. It's definitely difficult, and he is going against, I think, one of the better players in the world right now. Like, certainly making an argument for the hottest player in the last month. But he's got to focus. It just hurts so bad. Oh, it even hurts me. I'm not even playing the game, and it hurts.
And I'm hurt by that play. I saw that, and I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And Kolento is going to be going for his priest against the Lifecoach's mage, which I think is the obvious one. At the very least, he wants to get those tiebreaker scores. So you play your priest first, secure a win there. That way, if you end up losing the series, at least you get as many points as possible. And on the second deck, he's got Druid and Mage. So you probably don't play Druid into Mech Mage. You're probably going to go for the coin flip, as opposed to going for the slightly disfavored matchup, or unfavored rather. And then at the very end, you try your Druid against Mage if everything goes well. So we're gonna have to see if Kolento is able to beat Lifecoach's Mage, which, if it's Freeze Mage, this could be interesting. I mean, I don't know if I would put Lifecoach in the position of bringing Freeze Mage, but since I doubt Kolento would bring Control Warrior, maybe that's a consideration.
I think it's definitely something he can think about. But, it feels to me like that's his deck of choice for, like, really strong, efficient minions.
Yeah.
Something like Mech Mage, they kind of have the strongest ones right now.
Definitely.
So I think it's just what he's going to go with. And I do like queuing up the Priest here. I think this is one of those matchups where if you get a really strong draw, you can absolutely run your opponent over. But the reverse of it can happen also. So you have basically 2 major combos to do this. Number 1, of course, which is basically always a threat. Northstar Cleric, Injured Blade Master, Circle of Healing. But then the number 2 threat, which is probably the biggest one, is Auchenai and Soul Priest. I'm sorry, it's Auchenai, Soul Priest, and Circle of Healing.
Yeah, Circle of Healing is what you want against the Mech Mage.
Shadow Menace, though, this is also a card that's pretty decent in this matchup, is being able to steal something and then trade it off efficiently.
Mad Scientist, especially, you want to deny that mirror entity right away if possible.
Yeah. It's like a silence, and it's almost like a multi-shot that can silence the Mad Scientist in the process. Good stuff for him. Lifecoach's hand, too. I think a lot of people would just look at this hand and go, well, you turn on Mad Scientist, why not? But he doesn't have a turn 2 play if he does that.
Yeah, that's the big problem, is his curve is completely thrown off unless he top decks a 2-drop, which really, I mean, it's not unreasonable to expect getting one drop or 2-drop on the back of this. I mean, you could get you could get an Oiotron, you could get Mech Warper, you could get Snow Chugger, you can even find a Frostbolt for removal purposes. So it's not impossible to play the odds and go for the 2-drop top deck, but I don't think it's good enough to justify getting the Mad Scientist out.
Yeah, I think it's probably better to use the Spider Tanks, because the other thing too is Priest doesn't have like a lot of high-profile minions, and so
unless they find the early, what's it called, Injured Blade Master Circle right away.
Yeah, then, but that's the thing. So Mirror Entity, I've actually never seen this happen before, and I'm surprised by it now. If Mirror Entity copies an Injured Blade Master, does it copy the damaged Blade Master?
I think it copies the minion as it is. But the thing is, the battle cry happens before the minion comes down. So Mirror Entity does copy how the minion looks like. Like when it copies a Drake, right? It gives you a 4x, as opposed to giving you a 4-1.
I'm really curious about that now. I'm just gonna test that later and find out.
Well, you'll see it probably this game, I'm assuming. Well, unless Kolento doesn't play into it.
Yeah, no real reason to play it here with the Cogmaster sitting on board. And drawing the Holy Nova, I think, gives him a little bit more leverage in terms of the amount of time he's going to have. But this start from Lifecoach is really putting the heat.
Yeah, Kolento has a great Shadow Madness here, though, getting that Mad Scientist out of the way.
This is the reason Shadow Madness is in here. This is like probably one of the biggest recovery turns from Priest, is being able to Shadow Madness a board that strong.
I find it interesting that the secret animation on your deck glows purple when you steal the Mad Scientist with Shadow Madness from a mage, and green when you take it from a hunter, and yellow when you take it from a pally. So like it's like the Mad Scientist spawns with a color attached to it depending on the class that plays it. It's kind of nice.
Maybe Priest is just purple. Maybe it's just their color. I mean, look at all this. Look at all the shadow stuff behind that portrait, that golden portrait.
Oh man, Shadow Secrets coming up. Shadow Priest.
He just draws and plays Shadow form. You're like, what the heck?
Against
just domes
aggro?
his opponent for 2.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Alright, well, Sludge Belcher, perfect answer to the Piloted Shredder, but then again, there is a lot more than just a Shredder on this board. I really do like the position that Kolento's in. That Belcher is really putting a stop to the immediate aggression the Lifecoach might have wanted to put out.
Yeah, I'm curious if he's going to use his Fireball or not.
I kind of like Spider Tank Ping, but then again, you're kind of playing into Akanai Circle. Actually, you're not kind of.
You want to run the
it.
Shredder? You want to run the Piloted Shredder in first?
It feels terrible, but yeah. And you could Fireball, honestly. Like it's not even impossible to justify that. It's just
you want to get. I actually like the Piloted Shredder play. So, something that I've noticed a lot in these matchups, Lifecoach's hand is exceptionally strong, so there definitely is a lot of room for deviation from this. But something that I've noticed a lot in these matchups is that playing around stuff often ends up leading you to not having enough aggression to actually end the game. That's also a pretty decent draw. You can take out the Spider Tank and the Piloted Shredder body.
No mechs for the opponent's Blast Mage if there is.
I think he wants to see something.
Oh my god, that Blast Mage.
Yeah, he definitely didn't want to see a mech.
Well, that's a mech.
Gosh, this is so brutal for Kolento.
Yeah, that's gonna mech Kolento's day pretty tough. I'm not supposed to laugh at my own jokes. Let me just shut up. So that being said,
no, it's great, man. You just let it rip. I love it.
You got Goblin Blast Mage. Oh man, I thought I was gonna whiff completely. That was a near whiff experience.
You know, it's actually kind of a blessing here for Lifecoach that it whiffed, because he's not going to play his Cogmaster into potentially a Holy Nova or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he may not actually. It may pan out that he doesn't have time to play this Cogmaster in the next 2 turns, and then because of that, he's going to have the Cogmaster in his hand again.
Oh, Kolento has to play the Akanai here just because he needs the board presence. So he's forcing Lifecoach to deal with it, or at least he's going to be able to sacrifice it. And I mean, you could just Frostbolt it if you're Kolento and go full face, right? Or are you afraid of Lifecoach?
Or if you're Lifecoach, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. If you're Lifecoach, you just Frostbolt this and then drop Mad Scientist Spider Tank and go face. That way he can't heal. If he's got Circle, you're getting a secret back, and you can play Yeti and Cogmaster on the back of it.
Yeah, Holy Nova's not very good with an Akanai Soul Priest on the board.
Yeah, not really.
Wow, that's a really interesting play, actually.
Then again, you could Nova, kill the Mad Scientist and the 3/2, and then heal yourself with your hero power, but that Spider Tank stays alive. So you'd have to ping the Spider Tank first, then Nova. Actually, maybe that plays too much into Nova and Circle. That's a very risky line of play. That's probably not one that Lifecoach will want to take. Well, we'll see.
This is tough. I mean, he's thinking about everything. So obviously, one of his biggest concerns is just the amount of value that this card can generate by itself. And I think it's why he's giving it on to Frostbolt. This is just a much safer play. Like, I really do think it's interesting. Like, this is a turn that I'm going to watch for like 50 times again. I'm trying to think about like how big could of a play the Frostbolt play is actually, because it puts so much pressure on your opponent.
Yeah, like, but the times where it backfires is really...
That's the trade-off there, is when it goes wrong, you've given up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Well, it's over, and here you can have the win.
And then you top deck Dr. Boom, and you win the game, and everything is back in your favor.
Risk versus reward assessment is what that last turn was.
All right, so we'll see exactly what Kolento goes for here, but I wouldn't be surprised to just see a boring, quote-unquote, injured Blade Master Holy Nova. You can't afford, or, I mean, I really don't see...
I think he's got to get stuff out, honestly. I mean, he's down at 12. He has to
So
really start making something happen.
So by doing this and healing him, a minion, he's hoping his opponent doesn't have a fireball. He's already seen the one, so it's not the most likely outcome.
Yeah, this is looking like the more favorable trades that Lifecoach wants. Is there any chance that isn't Mirror? I mean, Lothar played a counterspell. Maybe his teammates playing a counterspell.
Who did I see recently? I think it was Zixo. I think that played Kirintor Mage in a mid-range. No, Savish I think played a counterspell and 2 Mirror Entities with 1 Kirintor Mage and 2 Mad Scientists.
Well, Kolento doing an alright job of keeping himself in this game, I imagine.
He is alive, actually, still.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Shrinkmeister to get this Mirror Entity out of the way. It's going to keep his injured Blade Master a little bit more healthy. And all I know is going to clear this position.
Imagine if that were a counterspell, though. This would actually be
so
devastating.
brutal.
Yeah.
My face when I play a minion and my opponent's Mirror Entity doesn't trigger.
Well, Kolento is back in this game.
Yeah, still comfortable healing his opponent's minions because he knows that the cards... Oh my gosh, that is a huge draw right now.
I said back in the game, right?
He even has an armor plating to keep his Dr. Boom out of range of the damage that's on the board. This is such an important turn for Kolento because he has Wild Pyromancer to deal an extra damage, but what he's missing is I mean, he's not missing it, of course, but what's going to end up happening is the boombots are going to activate from that. This is so bad for Kolento. Just one card draw. Doctor overpowered. Why?
Lifecoach is thinking about whether or not to armor plate. Because if you do armor plate, you're still losing it to the Wild Pyro play, which is the only one that loses you the game. So, wait. This has to be the Wild Pyro. I mean, there's nothing but a Wild Pyro, right? You trade everything you've got into Boom, and then you play Wild Pyro, Powered Shield, Taunt. You just try your best. Or you just trade the 3-2 and hope your 4-7 tanks a few, like a Boombot hit.
This is so tough.
Yeah, trade a 3-2 away, then you play Wild Pyro.
These Boombots make it to where there's so many ways for him to actually just lose this turn.
Well, let's see what ends up happening with that.
He could even just die. The Boombots might just kill him.
He has to heal first, maybe. Why wouldn't you, right? Because either way, you're going to be forced to attack into Boom with it. You're just playing the... Oh, man, what if the Boombots hit the Wild Pyro? Just what if? He's going to have to heal it up and give itself...
At least there's no longer a possibility of him dying this turn.
Okay, what comes out now? Oh! Ouch.
I wonder if he should have played Harrison first or not.
He wanted to play the Rusty Horn, though. That was the big idea, is to Rusty Horn to kill that last mech. And he's gonna kill... Oh, playing for value here. But I think Lifecoach will just time rewind the Dr. Boom and put it back down. Right? No, I mean, what else? What's the point?
I think it's the play, honestly.
It seems to me like a pretty good line of play. You're still keeping the armor plating in case you find the Archmage Antonidas and your priest opponent somehow swings back in the game. Oh man, but the thing is, by doing this, you're allowing your opponent to really taunt that injured Blade Master to its fullest extent.
I don't think he's too worried about that right now. 7-7's still gonna punch through it. What he's really hoping doesn't happen right now is a Shadow Word Death. That's really what he's hoping doesn't happen. I think.
And if it does, it's gonna be insane.
I think.
Well, you want to give your opponent the. I mean, if he wants to go for value, it's fine, right? You don't really care.
I don't actually know if I do play the Mech Warper, because if you play it, I mean, it just gives him it's almost like an easier target for him to kill than the Boombots are.
What if you just ping phase that way? If he heals up with his hero power, Fireball is still lethal.
That's sort of what I'm looking at as an afterthought. You know, instinctively I'm like, oh, we just dropped the Mech Warper down. But being able to put your opponent out of range of being able to, you know, somehow miraculously clear this board and then heal. Oh my gosh, Kolento's draws have been so bad in this third game. His opener was fine. I think his opener was really, really great. But it's just these last three. I mean, he's drawn basically like Harrison Jones and Cabal Shadow Priest, and 2 Cabal Shadow Priests in his last 2 draws, and he hasn't had a chance to really even play any of them.
Well, this is all gonna come down to that Boombot. And actually, maybe more than that, if there's a +1 attack spare part here. This could be the game-winning spare part.
This is so...
That's not it. Wait, yes, armor plating on the Boombot, reversing switch, then ping the 4-3, and that's game.
Wow. He's got to find this, though. Lifecoach has
game.
got to find it, right? I mean, he's going through this possibility. That was a really quick spot, by the way. I was looking at this, I was like, wait a minute, there's got to be something he can do here. And you just saw it instantly.
Well, that's a... No!
No! Lifecoach doesn't see it! Oh my gosh! Wait a minute, maybe he does now.
Well, that's why he's roping, right?
Nope! Oh!
Oh!
Oh, it doesn't matter though! He just gets the perfect Boombot roll. You know, that situation right there, like, I'm actually really surprised that Lifecoach missed that because he never misses anything. Like, he's always making such strong lines of play.
I think at the very end there, he lifted his hand like, oh, I missed perfect lethal. Now Kolento thinks I'm just an RNGing scrub, but that's not the case.
Well, Kolento doesn't know what he's got in his hand. So,
yeah, exactly.
And I definitely don't think that anyone thinks that Lifecoach is just an RNGing
Never.
scrub. As you so eloquently put it.
Yes.
It's a title that maybe some people out there hold. Lifecoach is 100% not one of those people. Maybe in this game he was. But I think other than that, he played this game pretty fantastically. You know, really kept everything in mind. Missing it at the end there, though. I mean, this is very, very uncommon to see any errors of this nature from these caliber of players. I mean, that actually is like, I'm very surprised by that. Seeing Kolento have the time turn and then seeing Lifecoach actually some percentage of the time will miss lethal is just, it's so rare to see that.
Yeah. I mean, those players generally know all these situations by heart, and they've played around with spare parts more than often enough, so they're used to those circumstances. But sometimes you get, you get tunnel vision into one line of play, and you miss everything else surrounding it. So that's going to be the series tied up here by Lifecoach, going 3-0 against Kolento. So the Priest that I thought had a really good chance versus the Mage got completely taken, overrolled basically by just the power of Mech Mage. You know, a deck that is aggressive, yet has high enough strength minions that if one of them sticks around, they're going to punish you very hard, and that's exactly what happened in this case. So we'll be right back, I guess, for a 10 minutes break. We're going to be casting after this Trump versus Reynad. Trump is currently 2-0, Reynad is currently 0-2, so that's a chance for Reynad to perhaps get himself outside of that 0-win range. Obviously, it's very early in the round robin, so we still have, a total of 7 weeks to go after this one. So Reynad's got to feel like he still has a chance, and he needs to win that game to get himself maybe a little bit of a confidence boost going forward. So we'll be right back, don't go anywhere.